On the dais, Honorable Minister, Government of Rajasthan, and my very dear friend, and indeed a long-standing friend, Colonel Rajyavardhan Singh Rathore ji. I also look at it as an opportunity to spend some time with you. So that's my added bonus. लोकसभा में हमारी बड़ी वरिष्ठ साथी और आपके यहाँ की लोकप्रिय प्रतिनिधि आदरणीय मंजू शर्मा जी, Chief Secretary V. Srinivas ji has been very generous in praising me, so I have to think of a return gift. No, it's true that we have spent quite some time together, and all these experiments have emanated during this time. And in fact, as Secretary ARPG, when we were finalizing the possible venues for the next few years or months, it was he who suggested Jaipur, because he belonged to this cadre. But never realized that destiny had something else for him. He was going to be both a guest as well as a host, which has happened today. Our very esteemed colleague, Mrs. Nivedita Shukla Verma, who is efficiently holding the dual charge of Department of ARPG as well as the Northeast, the donor, Sarita Chauhan, my colleagues from the Department of Administrative Reform, senior officers, Government of Rajasthan, young friends, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I have to congratulate and also thank the Government of Rajasthan, the Chief Minister of Rajasthan. In fact, he's been so closely following it up that only 3 days back when he met me in Delhi, he mentioned that he has kept himself available for the 1st of July, because today he is busy with G Ramji. And the manner in which the entire government has cooperated in making this event a success, as was rightly mentioned by Colonel Rathore, has happened all because of the cooperation offered by Colonel Rathore, his Department of IT, and in fact the whole of the government. And that truly represents what we've been propagating, the whole of government concept, the whole of center, the state, as well as the society. And also we have from the center as well, the Department of the Ministry of IT. And everybody was excited about this conference being held in Jaipur. I don't know how much the academies of it was exciting them, or the pink flavor of the city, but whatever. I think that might also be one reason for a very heavy attendance, which Mr. Srinivas was mentioning. All the states represented over here, not a single state left, not a single unitary territory left. And I also have to compliment the organizers, the Department of ARPG, which I could modestly or immodestly include myself as well, for very thoughtfully coining this year's theme, which is that of Viksit Bharat 2047, AI-enabled, data-driven and secure digital governance. Now, before that, as Mr. Srinivas was saying, that this is the 11th conference. So how this started, why it happened is that I think long back, soon after he took over in our department, I suggested to him, and I'm glad that he's been always accommodating my random thoughts, at least with apparent magnanimity, even if they were bothering him otherwise. I said, can we move the Government of India out of Vigyan Bhavan? Because Vigyan Bhavan is a very convenient venue. You just place the order, everything is done, because sari vyavasthaएं वहाँ पर in place hai. And then we said we would change the venue and then we will follow the spirit of it. So same pattern was followed for the e-governance awards and also for the conferences related to governance. And when we started rotating among the different regions, and when we thought of Northeast, he said Guwahati, I said no, Itanagar. I said we would not pretend having gone to Northeast, we would actually go. And he might be embarrassed to hear that that was his first visit ever to Arunachal. after having put in nearly 3 decades of service. Because officers and ministers from Delhi just went up to Guwahati and thought they had conveniently believed that they had traveled northeast. Similarly, we went up to Leh, up to Srinagar. And then learning from this experience, I have tried to follow it also in the other departments. For example, in the CSIR, started off with startup conclaves. So last week we had one in Bengaluru. Before that, we had one in North in Chandigarh. And this outreach has really been very miraculous because we have actually made our presence felt. And we have also got some recognition among the stakeholders that we are looking for. Now, as far as this theme is concerned, of course, this theme is very much in keeping with the tone and tenor of the Modi government, which has just completed its 12 years. It is also in keeping with the tune of the vision of Viksit Bharat, which Prime Minister Modi keeps reiterating. But why it is relevant is that whether we like it or not, this is no longer a choice. It's an essential commodity now. And the challenge now is how best to use it. So the question actually is not only artificial intelligence. The question that we need to ask ourselves is, how intelligent am I to use artificial intelligence? Am I intelligent enough to ensure that I handle a model which is human-led AI or HI-led AI? And when we talk in the terms of Viksit Bharat, let's also not forget that many a times I personally believe it becomes a little more, it sounds very romantic, but it becomes presumptive. And I was saying that once in the academy also in Mussoorie. And I suggested this once to Mr. Srinivas also, that we should first have some indices for 2047. Inadvertently, consciously or unconsciously, more so unconsciously or subconsciously, we tend to look at 2047 through the prism of 2026. In research, we have something called retrospective perspective. The best way to understand what I'm saying is you just look back 20 years, 21 years, and see what was new that time. The VCR, video cassette, which is an essential part of every dowry. Now try gifting it to somebody, he'll throw it out of the first window. The STD booth. I remember in institute, Mr. Srinivas was also there in the institute as JS at AIMS. At 11 o'clock in the night, we would have a long queue of boys and girls waiting to call home at 1438. एंड नेताओं के घर में भीड़ लगी होती कि साहब एक एसटीडी बूथ दिलवा दीजिए, बच्चे की जिंदगी बन जाएगी, जब तक बच्चा बड़ा हुआ बूथ बंद. So it's not easy actually, and that's precisely I was saying when we talk in the terms of governance, that's precisely I was telling to the trainee officers, what would be my role in 2047? Let me first understand this. Secondly, what would be the role of civil servant? Will there be a role or not? Already you've seen programs like Swamitva happening. You have put Patwari out of job. पहले तो पटवारी प्रमोशन लेना पसंद नहीं करता था, इतना उसको लगाव मोहब्बत हो जाता था अपनी नौकरी से, पेशे से. So it's not easy, but yes, this is a government which is very futuristic, and so is the Prime Minister. And soon after he took over, he gave us the mantra of maximum governance, minimum government, which in simple words would mean more of citizen centricity, more of transparency, more of accountability. And for optimally achieving this, the government has been trying to use the cutting edge technology to the maximum extent. And therefore, this theme aligns with that. And it's not an end in itself, as I said. It could be just a means and just a cue for us to start thinking of those lines. Because if you see the record of this government, it's been always planning reforms with a huge amount of sensitivity at the same time. For example, soon after we came in, on the 26th of May 2014, one of the earliest announcements made by the government, of course with the same ministry, the different department, the DOPT, was abolishing the attestation of those documents. And a huge message was sent out that, look, this is the government which has the capacity to trust the youth of this citizen, of this country. Otherwise, tomorrow you'll ask your children also to get the mark sheets attested by the by a Tahsildar or a Deputy Commissioner. So where will this end? And then within months, we also abolished the interviews to make the selection with a level playing field for all. The same department where Mrs. Nivedita is heading, you came out with a number of pension reforms. Earlier on, the family pension was not available for a separated or a divorced daughter living with her family. She had to go to a court to get a writ order. You also relaxed the pension rules for missing employees or employees who died a little earlier before 7-10 years of service. Then you also, and I think at least I have the satisfaction that Mr. Srinivasa was also there and Mrs. Nivedita, they have been very indulgent in accepting every now and then some random cues that I offer. Now we have also come out with the rule allowing a woman employee to nominate for family pension person other than her husband. Sounds a little unorthodox, but if you look within ourselves, it's very much in keeping with the changing or dynamically evolving values of the society today. So since I am a public servant, through my observations, I offered some to them. And I'm glad that up to now, nearly 2,000 rules have been done away with. Normally, after superannuation, हम कहते हैं जी मैंने ये कानून लाया, मैंने ये लाया, हमने ये हटाया. This is what you will tell your grandchildren. The file journey has also been reduced from level 8 to 4. And for the first time, this department, the India hosted the international conference of IAS, which is the International Institute of Administrative Services, with its headquarters in Brussels. For the first time, we had a president from India, and he's sitting here as Chief Secretary. Similarly, some of our success stories emanating from this department have attracted officers from several neighboring countries. Right now, we have a delegation of Mauritius at Delhi. We frequently have Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, South Africa. One of them is CP Grams, where when this government came in, the grievance number was just 2 lakh per year. Today we have 25. 25 lakh because we are prompt, we are responsive. People had stopped filing grievances because they knew कि होना कुछ नहीं है. Now we are filing a timeline. Of course, again, AI driven. That is one of the best examples of how AI has been tamed to improve our disposal rate, almost 95%. And I vividly remember about 18 months back, I think, I told Mr. Srinivas, I said, disposal is 100%, but happiness 0. So he always gives me a weird look. I said, no, what I mean to say is that in Europe these days, there's something called happiness index. So no two words in English language mean the same. You're disposed of the grievance, the person's aspiration is not addressed. तो वो सोच के आया था कि मैं चीफ सेक्रेटरी मुझे बनना चाहिए. जवाब में दे दिया कि साहब वो पैनलमेंट हुई 360 हुआ नहीं पाया गया. वो कहता साहब ये तो सारा ऐसे ही है. So I'm glad that on my suggestion he introduced a human desk. And that is the model of hybrid. I think ultimately that is the model in AI we'll have to follow in every sphere of life. So after disposal of every grievance which is AI driven, a human being speaks to the complainant. And I told them कि जैसे ही आप फोन करेंगे तो आपको पूछेंगे कि साहब आपको जवाब मिल गया. Since I have been a medical practitioner dealing with hundreds of patients every day, almost for a quarter of a century, तो मैंने पहले ही सीखा. तो पहला जवाब है, अरे साहब मिला तो क्या, पहले ही पता था, ऐसे ही होना था, सब जगह ऐसे ही है, सब चोर है, ये है वो. तो मैंने कहा आपने कुछ नहीं कहना, उसको थकने देना 10 मिनट. उसके बाद कहना भाई साहब कुछ और विकल्प सोचते. So देखिए in 5-7 minutes you will also introduce some happiness index. So that is again what we are trying to say, that we are also learning from these experiments. And this is what we have learned when we are talking of a theme related to AI. We would also have to keep in mind how to integrate it with HI. Then of course, Mission Karma Yogi is another one which is being followed by the same ministry. We already have 1.6 crore government officers. And now we've also introduced Mission Karma Yogi Prarambh in the Rozgar Mela that you witness every now and then online. The option is provided to the new appointed along with that so that he can actually train himself for the new assignment that is being taken over. And Similarly, now, very recently, I must congratulate Mrs. Nivedita. She's also introduced a chatbot in the CP grabs, where you can talk, you can write in any language, and you receive the answer in the same language. So, keeping all this in mind, I think, as Colonel Rathore was rightly mentioning earlier, Mr. Srinivas, this has been a successful conference with the number of speakers that you had, the knowledge sharing sessions you had, and the number of applications. I was asking Mr. Srinivas, more than 800 applications in 6 categories, which is by all standards. And Rajasthan, usually, from the point of view of governance, is said to be a better state, because having dealt with DOPT and the Mussoorie, being a researcher, I keep studying the pattern. So the best parameter to study which is the best college, I was telling some friends in education ministry, is not what is given in the magazines, the ratings. Even today, one magazine has come in the rating. The best is to find out what was the counseling pattern in NEET. And I gave this feedback to that I've found many of the boys in IIT JE preferring a private engineering college to an IIT. Which means that new IIT needs to be upgraded. Or it's preferring a private medical college to a new AIIMS. And similarly, the best pattern of judging the governance levels comparatively of different states is to see the preference given by the IAS officer trainings. And to that extent, Rajasthan is one state. If you don't get the home state, invariably pehla likhte hai home. Jab home nahi milta, then they go for either Rajasthan or go for Gujarat. So from there you can, a very few to Kerala, so you can judge what is making them feel at home. And from that point also, we have taken lots of decisions in the last 12 years for the ease of working, because just as we have tried to improve the citizen centricity, I think equally important is to improve the work environment. The crutches have been improved, the maternity leave has been increased to 6 months. And I'm glad, as a physician, gives me satisfaction that now we are also recently introduced maternity leave for the stillbirth born mothers, because somehow it had gone inadvertently unnoticed without realizing that a woman, whether she gives child birth to a live or a non-alive child, the physiology undergone by her remains the same. So from that point of view, once again, I must compliment Colonel Rathore and through him the government of Rajasthan for having enabled us to hold this very successful event. I'm sure all of us will go back wiser than before. And I also hope, and this Jaipur declaration was also started for the first time when we went to Shillong. I said we should have Shillong declaration. So Mr. Srinivas was amused. I said whether declaration has something or not, content matters or not, but you will be remembered, just as Dhaka declaration, Jakarta declaration. So he got the idea, he liked it, I'm glad. So he's now making declaration every year. He's made one from Jammu and now also from Jaipur. But nevertheless, I hope that this will actually prove true to the spirit, and the Jaipur conference will prove to be not only a milestone, but also a stepping stone to India's governance journey to destination 2047. Thank you.